Hello everyone, in today's episode of What You Missed, we're going to talk about Google Photos. Google Photos is fantastic for managing your photos for both personal use and for your classroom. Let's get started. Google Photos is available on any device. There's the iOS is what we have here and what I'll be showing, and it's also available on Android. Not sure about Windows Phone, but if you have a Windows Phone, you can work that out or we can talk about it. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up Google Photos. First, you'll notice it brings to getting started, so let's do that. It's going to ask me to sign in. I'm going to sign in with my personal because I take most of my photos with my personal account. You do have the ability to sign in with multiple accounts. The difference is that if you can only have one account to back up with, but you can access multiple accounts, the photos that are saved. For instance, I use, like in my case, I take most of my photos for my family, so I like to have that in my personal account. But I can take photos and upload photos to my Mount Vernon account. So I have the ability to switch back and forth. The difference is I will only back up my iOS photos, the photos taken with the iPhone app, using one account. In this case, I'm going to choose to back up and sync with my personal account. That preference is up to you. If you like to keep them separate or if you have multiple phones, you can make that choice. I'm going to click continue. Here's a good question. I'm going to choose to stay with the high quality, free, unlimited storage for all my photos. If you are a photographer, you may choose to do the original. Just know that you have a limit on the amount of free storage. You can purchase additional storage, and it is pretty cheap. In this case, I'm going to stay with the high quality. It meets most of my needs. Any web-based publishing, you'll be fine with the high quality. And from there, it's going to give me a couple options. I'm going to show me how to use it. So I'm just going to slide. Okay, now you can see that I'm into my various photos that I have taken. Now, the cool thing about it is it does allow you to store all of your videos as well. You'll notice this first one's a video, as well as all your pictures. These should be all the pictures that you currently have saved in your Google Photos online. The way it works, I have a couple options. I can slide through and see different things. These are collections that are, think of it as an album or a folder. These are different things that it's created for me, and or ones that I have created. I also have the ability to just look at the different photos, and I'm going to show you some cool things when I show you the desktop version. But as I can go through and look at any of the photos from over time, I can quickly scroll by using the right arrows. Okay, I can also search. Now notice when I bring up the search, it's already discovered some people for me. Okay, now the first one, Collins, my daughter, you'll notice that it has a name on there. I've done that. Let me click on this first one, the second one, who is my son Carson. Notice how it's asking me who this is. I'm going to go ahead and click on that person, and I'm just going to type in his name. If it's in my contacts, it'll pull it from there, but there he is. So that's Carson Canup. So now, here's the cool thing about it. I did not tag him in any of these photos. Google, in its search algorithm, found and recognized his name and then attached any photo in my collections that have his face in it. So that's what's pretty neat. So I can actually do a search for Carson and find any of the photos. So now it's there. There's me and my wife and a couple other folks as well. It also does it by places. So it takes up any of the additional, any places, any things, any, notice it has selfies. It'll also, this is the cool thing. notice that it created things based on beaches. All right, these are all the pictures that I've taken at the beach over the years. Okay, it did that automatically. I did not create that. It did also sky and created anything that had a picture of a sky in it. That can be pretty cool as far as that. What other things can I tell you about the app? Notice as I go back and I can look at, if I want to add a second account, I can click on this. I can add an account. Let me go ahead and add my Mount Vernon account. And now you'll see that I have two faces here on the account. So I can switch between the two, and I can look at the different photos in the different systems. Notice the photos over on the right-hand side are actually changing in the background. Okay, so now that's about all I'm going to show you. And this is the last thing I will show you. In the assistant, it will tell you whether or not your photos are completely backed up. If it was not, it would say how many. It would give me a number of how many were still left to be backed up. This is important to remember, that the first time you do this, it's going to take a long time. Especially if you have a lot of photos. I'll give you an example. It took from my wife, who had over 2,000 photos to upload. It took a couple hours. We left it overnight, and that's what I'd recommend you to do. Do this over Wi-Fi connection as well. So when you're at home, just jump in here, watch the backup assistant, and it'll start syncing. Now I'm going to show you how to access it from your desktop. One of the cool things about it is that when you take a photo on your phone, it automatically, because of the things we've already set up, will automatically upload it to your computer, and it's uploaded in the cloud so you can access it from any device. This is kind of great. One of the frustration things I've had with dealing with pictures over the years is how being able to consolidate them. We have photos in Facebook. We have photos in Snapfish. We have photos in iCloud. We've got photos all over the place. Our goal and what we're working on as a family is to pull all these photos together into Google Photos. This will make it a lot easier. But this also makes it a lot easier in the classroom. Imagine using your iPads in your classroom, or the iPad that you have in your classroom, to be able to take all your photos with that. It automatically syncs it up to the cloud, to your Google Drive. Then you'll be able from there to add them to Haiku. You can share them with parents. You can do it quickly and easily once it's into Google Drive. Now, there's two ways of accessing it. Right now, you'll notice I'm in a Google Drive. I'm in my personal because I have a lot more photos there, but it also works the same way in your Mount Vernon account. In Google Photos, I can, in my Google Drive, you'll notice I'm in Drive, I can click on the Google Photos tab on the left. Notice I have all my photos are right here, and you can see, yes, they tried to spray paint my hair over here. Notice I don't have much hair, so it just ran crazy. But anyway, one of the things you can do is you can search here, but I'm going to show you something else that's pretty neat. There's actually the Google Photos web app that's a little bit easier to use and a little bit more powerful. What you can do is click on the grid and find Google Photos. It may be under More. Okay, now that Google Photos is up and running, you'll notice that things look a little different than they do in Google Drive. Google Drive kind of just lists all of the files straightforward. What Google Photos has done is organize them a little differently. Notice that everything's right now in date order. Okay, so I want to show you a couple of the cool features of Google Photos. Notice we talked earlier about faces and how it grouped different things into different faces. I'm also going to show you how powerful it is for search. Okay, I'm going to search. These are the different faces that it pulled up. I'm going to search for a couple things. Let's search for pumpkin, and you'll notice that it pulls up every picture of a pumpkin. I did not tag these photos with pumpkins. Okay, let's search for something else. Remember that we talked about beaches earlier? Let's just see what happens when we do beaches. Okay, I'm searching for that. Okay, let's think about some other searches I could try. Now, the cool thing about this, it's actually looking at what's in the picture to figure out what's going on. Okay, so let's say I'm looking for a particular person. Okay, all right, so I've got Carson, and it pulled up every picture that Carson shows up into. Now, I want you to see this. I did not tag these photos of my son Carson. They showed up because it recognized his face and then went from there. Now, I want you to also see that some of these photos don't have a strong picture. That does. There's some of them, it does an amazing job of finding at different shades. And like this one's, for an example, that's not exactly the clearest picture of him, but it did recognize him. So it's pretty powerful to be able to do that. Now, again, I had to name him Carson based on this. So in this case, I would have to say who this is. Okay. So this is actually, I'll need to say it's me. All right, so I can say that. So now, then I could search, these are all the photos of me. Okay? All right, so you can see the different things that are pretty powerful. Okay? Also notice that it went by places. Okay? Say I wanted to do everything. This is a trip to Six Flags, so maybe we could search for Mableton or Atlanta, and it would bring up every picture that was taken in and around Atlanta. It came up with different things, so it could take of cars, of weddings, of sky and beaches, of the sunset. Just think about what it's doing. Now, that's pretty cool, and that's something new that Google Photos is doing. All right, so let's talk about creations. Okay, there's nothing here right now, but what the assistant does from time to time, let me see if I can find a couple of those that it's done. Okay. What the assistant does is it creates new things based on your photos. I'm going to use this example right here. This is a stop motion picture because I took 4 or 5 pictures of the kids in rapid succession. It made a stop motion little clip for me out of those pictures. Now, that's a pretty neat little feature that it does it automatically. I didn't create this. It did it for me. It tells stories. It does some different things. Now, if I want to keep this, I can click Save to the Library, and it saved it to the library. So now I'll have that permanently. Okay? And it can also do, this is one done by different dates and times. So it's pretty neat little features that it does, and they're adding new and fun things to that as they go along. Now, one of the things I want to take you back to is sharing photos. Okay, say I wanted to share this with the grandparents. Okay, or with, in your case, if you've got pictures you want to share to teachers. All right, what I can do is I can click on the share button, and immediately I can get a shareable link. I could copy this. All right, okay, and I can copy that. I can email it out. Okay, notice that I also had the option to go ahead and post it on Facebook, go ahead and post it directly to Twitter. All right, that's pretty powerful right there if I want to save that picture. You can also do it with a group of pictures as well. But with the shareable link, I can also put it in a Haiku announcement and send it out. Now, this link is only shareable, this picture is only visible based on if the person has the link. It is not searchable, so there's no worry about finding kids or pictures of your kids unless you give the link out. That's helpful for some parents that are concerned about that. We are concerned about that, but I'm okay with doing it out with me in control of who I'm giving the link to. If I put it on Haiku and I send it out as an announcement, there it is. The parents can immediately get to the picture and go from there. Google Photos is very powerful. I think it is a game changer as far as photo management. I highly recommend you use it. I'll give you an example of one of the ways we're using it right now. The football team is using 2 separate iPads, and what will happen is an assistant will take a picture of the formations on top of the roof and take a look at the formation. Instantly, the coaches on the sidelines can look at those pictures down below, and that's pretty cool, and that's pretty powerful. So keep that in mind. The one last thing, it's updating all the photos from your iPhone or Android device. You use your standard phone app on those phones. You don't have to use a special app. It will grab the photos from those. All right. There's one last piece on the desktop that we'll talk about next. Now I'm going to show you how to get your photos from your desktop, particularly in iPhoto, up to your Google Photos. There's a process that you can do to do that. In Google Photos, notice that I'm in photos.google.com. I can click on these 3 little dots, and then I can go to App Downloads. And from here, I can go to the desktop uploader. And now it's going to download. And now that it's finished downloading, I'm going to go ahead and install it. Now I'm going to make sure that I pull it over to the Applications folder. And that nice sound. Okay. Now I'm going to launch it. Google Photos Backup. Say open to that. I'm going to agree. And notice that I now have an icon up here at the top. I'm going to click continue. It's going to ask me to log in. Now here's the cool part. I can have it actually pull from the Apple photo library, which I do want to do. And so anything that I have in iPhoto or Photos is the latest Apple Photos app. I can have it choose this, okay? There's also, looks like I can add some other photos or other folders that I may have on my computer. I can add that as well. All right, so any of these places, it will automatically grab them from now on. Okay, I'm going to uncheck this. While I don't want, alleviates any, it's all anonymous tracking, but I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. All right, I'm going to leave it at high quality. Remember we did that on our phone earlier. So I'm going to click on Start Backup. Okay, and it's ready to go. Now this little icon is going to keep running in the backup. Okay, notice now, I don't know if you can see it, but this is spinning a little bit and everything is backing up. So it's backing those up, and I should be able to see them later on. That's Google Photos. Do give it a try. I think it's a great tool. It's a great tool for to organize and find photos and search for photos. Google is known for searching, and they've done a good job of helping you find and search for your photos. Thanks, and have a blessed day.